Good afternoon, class. So yesterday we was discussing about the properties of limits.
Sir,
Yeah,
I wanted to ask you something about our exam syllabus.
yeah. What you want to ask?
So, in sequence and series, only AP and GP coming.
What is given in the syllabus?
So, only sequence and series is given.
Sequence and series consist of AP, GP, the miscellaneous section is there, sigma and its properties, everything is there, no?
Sir,
Yes.
so all that HP and all harmonic progression not come, right?
HP is not there in school syllabus, right? But AP, GP, and the miscellaneous series, which consist of sigma and its application, everything is there, no? Just HP is not there.
Okay, sir.
You revise from your lectures, no? Whatever I have taught you, you revise from there and you can skip that article on HP. Rest everything you have to do. Okay. Because if you have seen your school textbook or NCERT, whatever, you might have seen those exercises where there is sigma and sigma r square, sigma r cube, and there are questions based on that. Method of differences, there I have taught you everything. Okay, go through those notes. Okay.
Okay, sir.
HP you
Thank you,
can
sir.
skip. Yeah. All right. Okay, so let's continue on this topic called limits. So we'll be discussing properties or limits first. Just one of you, please confirm. Can you see the screen and can you see some properties written here?
Yes, sir.
All right. So as you can see, I have written three properties here. We were discussing these the previous turn. I will explain it once again. What is the meaning of first property? See, we have limit of sum or difference of two functions. Okay. Fx plus minus gx means either two functions are added or subtracted, and you are supposed to find the limit at x tends to a. What is the property? This limit symbol gets distributed either on positive or negative sign. Same holds for multiplication and division. If you consider all these three properties simultaneously, okay, what you observe? You observe that limit symbol or limit sign is distributed on each of the functions, whether there is plus or minus or into or division. However, it is not that simple. There is one important condition, and that condition is that both the limits must exist. Both the limits means limits like this, which are separated by plus minus sign or multiplication sign or division sign. Okay. In the last part, in the last part, there is one extra condition that limit of gx should not be equal to 0. Just wait a minute. In the third property, there is one extra condition. Okay, this condition that both the limits exist individually. Okay, this holds for first, second as well as third. Okay, but in third there is one more condition that the limit in the denominator, this part, should not be 0, because then it will become undefined. That is the reason. Now to explain this property, I'm going to take a one simple example here. Suppose we are asked to evaluate this limit. Right now we are not going to discuss how to evaluate this limit, but I will tell you what you are not supposed to do. Suppose this is the question. You have to find this limit. X tends to 0, 1 by x square minus 1 by sin square x. One thing which is clear is that you should not write it like this. You should not write it like this. This is wrong here. What else we should do? That is discussion of later. But right now, we cannot write it like this. What is the reason? Because when you will distribute this limit symbol here on both the functions, what will happen if you will try to find the limit? The limit of each one of these will come out to be infinity. Very simple. When x is tending to 0, This denominator is tending to 0. Okay, x tends to 0 means x square tends to 0, whether you find LHL or RHL. Okay, so this x square will be tending to 0, and as a result 1 upon tending to 0 will be tending to infinity. If you remember, when we were discussing the limit of the function at a point, at that time we studied that LHL equals RHL equals finite quantity. Okay, so if you will try to find either LHL or RHL in this term 1 by x square, both of them will be coming equal to infinity. That means not a finite value, which means limit does not exist. So now come back to the first property. What does it say? It says that you can distribute this symbol provided both the limits exist. So what do you observe? When you distributed this symbol, the first limit itself is not existing. So writing it like this will be wrong. Hence I am writing not equal to. I have put this not equal to sign here in between. I hope this is clear. Okay, so at the moment of distributing this symbol, you should make clear that the terms where you are distributing these limit, okay, they have some finite value. Limit should be a finite number. There will be so many questions after this. Okay, we'll use these properties again and again. This was just one example. Okay, so almost in every question you will have to use the property, so that will give you a better understanding. For now, there is one more property here, that is fourth number, where again you have to find a limit at x tends to a, and there is some constant k. Okay, this property easy to remember. Whenever there is some constant multiplied to a function and you have to evaluate its limit at x tends to a, this function, sorry, this constant will come out of this limit sign. Okay, we can take this constant out of the limit sign. For example, you take any example here. Let's say, suppose this is the question. Okay, then using this property 4, you can write twice of limit x tends to 0 sin x by x. Okay, this is the application. Property number 4. So these are the 4 properties that you have to use while solving the limits. Now, as we were discussing in the previous class, this LHL RHL method is a little bit lengthy. Okay, so in this class we are going to study some faster methods to evaluate limits, and they are going to be methods to find limits. First one is factorization. So what we are going to do in this article and this method factorization, we factorize numerator and denominator, and cancel common factors to evaluate the limit. Simple. Now to explain this method, I will once again take the example of the first class where we evaluated this limit with the help of a table, and then later on with the help of the definition of limit, which is by finding LHL and RHL. Okay, now we are going to find it using factorization. Someone even mentioned, can't we simply cancel the factor and then put the limit? So here we are going to do it now. You will see whether you can factorize numerator and denominator or both. So here we can very easily factorize the numerator, and now what you see that there is a factor which is common in numerator and denominator. Okay, so when you will cancel it, you will be left with x plus 2. Now try to understand, no need of finding LHL and RHL here. Okay, it will be a wastage of time. If you write 2 plus h or you write 2 minus h. Ultimately, in both of these, you are going to get 4. So that can be achieved directly as well. How to read this thing? When x is tending to 2, what about x plus 2? It will tend to 4. Okay. You put a value in place of x, you put a value which is very close to 2. So very close to 2 plus exactly 2. So that value will be very close to 4. That is why we say that the limit is 4. Okay. But if you put this value directly, what you are not supposed to do. If someone who is not having idea about the evaluation of limit and he like simply puts 2 here, what will happen? Okay. What will happen? You will get 0 by 0. Is this answer? No. This is not even the correct method. So what you are going to do? First thing, you have to factorize. You have to cancel the common factors. Okay. And once you do it, then you can put the value of x, the tending value that will give you the value of the limit. Okay. So this is called factorization. Factorization, everybody know what is the application here that we have discussed. So based on that, I'm giving you one question. Okay. Tell me what you are getting. This is the question. Use the process that we have discussed. Okay. And then you can find it. Factorize it quickly and tell me what is the answer. You are getting 2. Anyone else? Some other answer? Okay, so if we go for factorization, I'm not teaching you factorization, right? I will directly write the factors. It is x minus 4x minus 2. Denominator is x minus 3x minus 2. So you cancel this common factor, right? Then once the common factors are cancelled, you are supposed to put the value here. That is 2 minus 4 upon 2 minus 3. So 2 is the correct answer, okay? But first you make sure that all the common factors are cancelled. Only then you put this value. Let us try the next question. X tends to half. It is 8x cube minus 1 upon 16 x to the power 4 minus 1. Do this. Yes, what is the answer? Why are you taking so much time in factorization? No? How we can factorize this numerator? You cannot find the factors. Use a cube minus b cube, no? 8x cube is 2x whole cube and 1 is 1 cube. So a cube minus b cube will be a minus b into a square plus ab plus b square. Okay. Now this 16x to the power 4 minus 1. You can write it as 4x square whole square minus 1 square. Okay. 16x to the power 4 is 4x square whole square. Use a square minus b square. A minus b into a plus b. Then after this, you are not observing anything common, right? Not observing anything common, because you will have to factorize this denominator once again. Okay, again factorize this first term of denominator 4x square minus 1 by using a square minus b square. Now you will get the common factor 2x minus 1, 2x plus 1 into 4x square plus 1. You cancel it. Okay, now you can put the value. There is nothing common here. Only when you cancel all the possible common factors, then only you will be getting this value. Okay, and here no need to use LHL RHL, just simply put the value. So now rest is simplification. So in the numerator we are going to get 3, here it is 2 and this is also 2, so 3 by 4 will be the answer. Okay, factorization. It is the next question here.
गर्म पानी मैं कहता हूँ
So half.
Half is correct. Good. Yeah. So first thing, if you observe these denominators carefully, no, let us factorize this. So if you observe the second denominator and the first part of the first denominator, that is 1 minus x, okay? So there is some relation between them. If you want to write exactly same, follow this step in the second term. Instead of 1 upon x minus 1, you write minus 1 upon 1 minus x. It is like multiplying numerator and denominator by minus 1, okay? Now, what about the LCM? LCM will be 1 minus x upon into 1 plus x. Yeah, one important thing here. Note something important. Some of the students might be thinking about distributing this limit sign, okay, like this, because they know that fx plus gx, if there is this situation, they can split or they can distribute this limit. But you know what will happen? Why this is wrong? Why this is not equal to this? Because I have told you the reason. When you will put x tends to 1 here, no? So 1 upon 0, infinity. This limit does not exist. In fact, this limit also does not exist. Why? Because both of them are infinity. So when you can distribute the limit, when both the limits exist. I hope this is clear. That is why instead of distributing the limit sign, what I am trying to do, I am trying to combine these two, I am trying to add these two and change into a single term. And for that I am taking the LCM. Now as you can see, the LCM is 1 minus x into 1 plus x. So here it will be only 2, while in the next part it will be minus of 1 plus x, right? So what happens? When you simplify numerator, you will get 1 minus x. See how good this question is, because after doing all these manipulations, right, we get a common factor. It changes into a single term first, that is important. And also we get a common term, and after cancelling it and seeing that there is no more common term, okay, you put this value here and you get 1 by 2. Okay, this is how we evaluate limit, right? This is how we evaluate limit. So important question. Okay, now suppose let us take one more question of this kind. Suppose we have to take limit x tends to 2 x upon x minus 2 minus 4 upon x square minus 2x. Solve this. Okay, solve this.
So 2.
Is it 2? Let me check the answer. Wait a minute. 17. Just check the calculation once again.
So 2.
Is it 2? Answer is not 2 here. Wait a minute. 42. Yeah, it's 2. It's correct. Okay, I was looking some other answer. Fine. So first thing, what we can do in denominator, we can take x common here, right? And now we can opt for LCM. Now after this, the first term will be multiplied by x, so it will be x square, and second term will remain as it is. And now you can see that we can do the factorization, and the factorization will give me x minus 2 into x plus 2. We cancel this, right? we cancel this, and what we get in the next step, we get x plus 2 by x. Now we put the value. Okay. So this comes out to be, we put 2 here, this is 4 by 2, which is 2. Okay, this is the answer. So you have done correctly. Now let us come to the next point after factorization. So this is one of the method to evaluate limit, right? Next is rationalization. See, in rationalization, what happens? We rationalize either numerator or denominator or both. Okay. Rationalization, everybody knows, we multiply by conjugate, right? So we rationalize either numerator or denominator or both, and then cancel common terms to evaluate the limit. So instead of factorization, now you will be doing rationalization. Okay, now you may have to rationalize either numerator or denominator or even both. So I'll be taking questions where you will have to, like, sometimes you will have to rationalize numerator, so in some question you will have to rationalize denominator, and in some questions you may have to rationalize both of them. So let us take examples one by one. So this is question number 1. Limit x tends to 0, under root of 2 plus x minus root 2 by x. Okay, this is the first question. Second question is limit x tends to 0, x upon, say, a plus x, then minus of a minus x, like this. Okay, so I need not to actually just show you the solution. Okay, you have this heading, I have written something below the heading. What you have to do, just follow this and try to solve the questions and tell me what you are getting for the first question. What is your answer? Yes, anyone for the first question? How you rationalize things? What is the problem? It is root 2 plus x minus root 2. So you multiply by root 2 plus x plus root 2. If you have to multiply, you will have to divide also, right? Now after doing this, what is the purpose of this rationalization? You multiply them, no, in the numerator. So how you will multiply? It's like a minus b into a plus b. So it will be a square minus b square, right? Now after this, after rationalization and doing the multiplication, what you are getting? In the numerator you will get x, denominator also you will get x. Now you cancel the common terms, right? Cancel the common terms. Now you put the values of x. Okay, x is tending to 0. You put this value here. What you are getting? 1 by 2 root. This is the answer. If you want, you can even further rationalize it by multiplying by root 2. So that will be root 2 by 4, or you can leave the answer here as well, no problem. So if you have understood this particular question, now you can try second one. Yes, anyone? Second question. See, it is easy. Rationalization is simple. Why are you taking so much time? Just tell me what you are getting.
So root A.
Yeah, root A is correct. Good. You should answer no. Why are you waiting? So this time we should rationalize denominator. You know why we rationalize? To remove that square root kind of symbols, right? So here it is x. This is root a plus x plus root a minus x. Okay, and you will multiply denominator as well. So this is x under root a plus x plus under root a minus x. In the denominator it is a plus x minus a minus x. Okay, so obviously you can't different this multiply and numerator, right? You can't multiply numerator. What you will get? So you can leave it as it is. But when you multiply the second term with the denominator, no, there is this identity a minus b into a plus b. So we use that and we simplify the term. So what we get as a result, if you do the simplification, you will get 2x. A and minus a will cancel each other. X and plus x. Okay, so x will add. As a result, this will be cancelled. Common factor or common term is cancelled. No more common term, put the value. In place of x, you put 0. Root a plus root a is 2 root a. 2 also gets cancelled, root a is the answer. Okay. I'm giving you third question now. X square minus 16 upon x square plus 9, square root is there minus 5. First you will solve this question. Okay, third one, and finally we will solve the fourth question for this. First you solve third one, tell me what you are getting, then we will discuss fourth. Do not simply put the values here. Like in the third question, if you think let me put 4 here, okay, in place of x, you will get 0 by 0. That is not the answer. If you are giving answers like 0 by 0 or infinity by infinity, that means you have done nothing in the question. Okay, answer will be some finite value, some determinate value. Try to understand this. So for that, I'm telling you different kind of techniques and methods to get those answers. Now solve third one.
So 10.
Third question 10. Yeah, that's correct. Good. Solve fourth one then. Others keep on doing third question. See, in third question, you will rationalize the denominator. Okay. Then here it is a minus b into a plus b, which is a square minus b square. So now this will be x square minus 16, right? So you can see it's getting cancelled directly, this part. Rest is value putting. So when you put 4 here in this square root, this will become 16 plus 9 plus 5. Okay. Root of 16 plus 9, root 25 plus 5, that will be root 10. Do not write plus minus. Square roots are always positive. We have discussed this so many times. So 10, this will be the answer. Simple application of rationalization. Now solve the fourth question. See, in fourth question, if we go back to the heading, no, this heading, see what is written here. We rationalize either numerator or denominator or both. So the question is based on double rationalization. Double rationalization means that you have to rationalize numerator as well as denominator. Only then you will get some common factor, it will be cancelled, and finally you will get some value. So important question, right? So let us say you thought about rationalizing denominator. So now when you will do this, you will get 3 minus under root 5 plus x is 1 plus under root 5 minus x. In the denominator you get a minus b into a plus b is a square minus b square, right? And you can see there's no purpose of multiplying these two, the terms in the numerator, because there's no identity or nothing. Okay, and simplifying denominator you will get x minus 4, and you will not see x minus 4 in the numerator, right? It is not getting cancelled, nothing is getting cancelled. So if you will try to put the value 4 here, no, if at this step you try to put the value 4, you will get 0 by 0. That is indeterminate form. That means you have not solved anything till now, though you are halfway there, because now you only rationalize denominator. Now you need to rationalize numerator. Okay, so for that the numerator was 3 minus this only, the negative part, right? Do not rationalize this 1 plus under root 5 minus x. This is the result of rationalization. So numerator, when I say numerator, I want the original question. Okay, this 3 minus under root. So you multiply it by its rationalizing factor. Okay, then this 1 plus root 5 minus x was already there. And the same term you will have to multiply in the denominator as well. 3 plus under root 5 plus x. Now you will use this identity in the numerator, which is a plus b into a minus b here in this part. Okay, so this will come out to be a square minus b square. 3 square is 9 minus 5 plus x. Use proper brackets. Okay, whenever required, use brackets. Under root 5 minus x, and here it is x minus 4 upon 3 plus under root 5 plus x. Okay, now what's there in the numerator? It is 9 minus 5 minus x, which is 4 minus x. This is 1 plus under root 5 minus x divided by x minus 4 into 3 plus root 5 plus x. Okay, now there is a common factor present here. Okay, and that is x minus 4 or 4 minus x. So what will happen if you will cancel it? No, if you cancel it you get minus 1. Clear? Or you can take minus common first and then you can cancel x minus 4. Now try to put the value. Okay, in place of x you put the value 4. So what you are getting? Minus 1. It is 1 plus under root 5 minus 4. Now you will not get 0 by 0, you will get the answer. It is 3 plus under root 5 plus 4. When you put this value you get minus 1. Next is 1 plus root 1, that is 2. Denominator 3 plus root 9. Root 9 is how much? Root 9 is 3. 3 plus 3 6. So what you get? You get minus 1 by 3. Okay, I hope this is clear. This fourth part, this is clear, right? Important question for exam point of view. Double rationalization. Anyone having any doubt can ask. Okay, then sometimes there will be a type of question. Okay, there will be a type of question when I write infinity by infinity. Okay, try to understand this. When I write infinity by infinity, I mean that the numerator and denominator, both of them are tending to infinity, and we are trying to evaluate the limit based on such type of questions. So for this we have a hint: divide numerator and denominator. Divide numerator and denominator by the highest term, by the greatest term, or term having highest power. This point you will understand with the help of example. To evaluate the limit, okay, to evaluate the limit. And this is to be used in which kind of questions? Where both numerator and denominator are tending to infinity, to evaluate the limit. Now what is this? Suppose there is a question, limit x tends to infinity, okay, and it is x square plus 2x plus 3 upon, let's say, 3x square plus 7x plus 5. Suppose this is the question, okay. You try to put infinity here directly. You thought, let me put x as infinity. So you will get terms like infinity square plus 2 into infinity plus 3. This is useless. It is simply infinity. Okay. What you will get as infinity square? Some other number? No, that is just infinity. So in short, we will say that in the numerator it is infinity, in the denominator it is infinity, and as a result, it is of the form of the type infinity by infinity. Now to evaluate such kind of questions, what is the hint given? Hint is divide numerator and denominator by the greatest term, or what else? If not, if you are not able to understand what is the greatest term, what else you can do? You can divide numerator and denominator by the term having highest power. So if anyone has understood this point, can anyone tell me what should be the next step here? What should I do in the numerator and denominator? What should I do? Try to answer. No problem. Whether you are right or wrong. What do you think? What should I do here?
So divide by x.
Correct.
Divide by
Yeah, that's correct. Divide by x square. We divide numerator and denominator by x square because that is what is written here. Divide by the term having highest power. So we can see that in numerator and denominator x square is that term. Let us divide it. So it is x square plus 2x plus 3 by x square. Okay. And 3x square plus 7x plus 5 by x square. So now when you divide, what exactly you are going to do after this? You are going to split the question. How? It is x square plus 2x plus 3 whole upon x square. So you will write x square upon x square. You could have done this directly as well. 2x by x square plus 3 by x square. Okay. Next step, it is 3x square by x square plus 7x by x square plus 5 by x square. Now just do further simplification, and then in the next step you'll get the answer. X square by x square is 1. 2x by x square is 2 by x plus 3 by x square. Similarly, here it is 3 plus 7 by x plus 5 by x square. Now the question is, what is the purpose? Why we say that we have to divide this numerator and denominator by the greatest term? As a result, what will happen? This term having infinity will come in denominator. Now I can directly write the answer 1 by 3. Why? Because see, if I put x tending to infinity now, first term will be 1. I'm talking about numerator. Second term will be 2 by infinity. Now you already know that something upon infinity is 0, right? Something means finite number. Okay, just like you have studied in class 10, 1 by 0 is infinity, 1 by infinity is 0, like that. So finite number upon infinite is 0. 3 upon infinite is 0. Then similarly, this number, denominator you have 3, then 7 by infinity, 5 by infinity, square of 5 by infinity is 0. Why we say that 5 upon infinity is 0, 3 by infinity is 0? Consider, you divide 3 by 1, you get 3. 3 by 10, you get 0.3. You get 3, you divide 3 by 100, you get 0.03. What you are observing? Numerator is same. You are increasing the value of denominator. Number is diminishing, right? Number is diminishing. What exactly is happening? Where it is going? What I think, it is going towards 0. Because see, you are increasing the value. First the denominator was 1, then 10, then 100, then 1000, 10,000. The number is constantly decreasing. So a situation will come when this number will be very large. Okay. What will happen here? Number will be very small. What? Tending to 0. So that is what we are discussing here. When x is tending to infinity, this 2 upon infinity, this will be a very small number. It will be a negligible number. It will be almost 0. Almost 0, not exactly 0. That is why it is the value of limit. We never say the value of the function is equal to 1 by 3. We say that the value of limit is 1 by 3. What is the meaning? The meaning is when x is tending to infinity, this whole expression is tending towards 1 by 3. That is why we use the symbol limit. I hope this is clear. So the point is, whenever you see such types, okay, you have to follow this one particular line, and based on that you have to do the calculation. And remember that finite number upon a very large number will always tend towards 0. This is the concept behind it. Okay. So based on this, here is one question for you. Suppose this is the question. Try to evaluate it first. Let me see if you can get the correct answer. It is limit of n square upon 1 plus 2 plus 3 up to n, and n is tending to infinity. Yes, anyone? No one having any idea about this sum? Not seen it anywhere. Yes. How you will add this 1 plus 2 up to n?
So AP.
Yeah, it is AP, no? So what is the problem? You will easily get the sum. How many terms are there? N. What is the first term? 1. What is the last term? N. Formula is n by 2 a plus l. This is the answer. Now what will happen? Something is getting cancelled directly. 2 will be there in the numerator. This is 1 plus n. Now now if you want, you can take 2 outside. Remember that property, constant can be taken outside if in present in multiplication. Now what else? It is n upon n plus 1. So you will divide numerator and denominator by n only. That is the highest term present. Split it, you will get the answer. N by n is 1. Here it is 1 by n plus n by n. Now you put n as infinity, so 1 by infinity will be 0 and the result will be, this will be the result, that is 2. Okay, so question based on infinity by infinity, remember this. All right, suppose this is the question, limit x tends to infinity it is 5x minus 6 by under root 4x square plus 9. It will be very good if someone solves this question. 5x minus 6 by under root 4x square plus 9. You should be ready with your explanation as well if you are giving the answer. Can anyone tell me what is that number by which we have to divide this, or the term, whatever?
By X.
By x. Very good. Not by x square but by x. The reason is you may be observing x square as the highest term, but try to understand that it is present inside the square root. So if we talk about something called effective power, no, effective power. So effective power of denominator is not x square, it is actually x, or the power is 1. I can say that. Okay. So instead of dividing by x square, we'll be dividing this numerator and denominator by x. So before that, what you can do, try to understand one very important concept. Okay. I'm taking x square common here, writing it like this. Okay. Because students make mistake in this. Then I want to write root of x square. Okay, as you can see, it is root of x square. You should know this. I have told you so many times. It is not simply x, it is mod x. This is very important result. So after I write it like this, now the next point is how to write modulus. So in this particular question, it will be undoubtedly x only. Why? Why? Because x is tending to infinity. That means x is a very large positive number. Okay. So what about modulus? I told you modulus x is x if x is positive. So that is why here now I can write it as x. Okay. Now, what is the next step? Divide numerator and denominator by x only. Okay. This we have already discussed. So when you will divide the numerator and denominator by x, it will be something like this. Rest is simple calculation, because when you see finite number upon infinite, it will be 0. So this is what you will get after putting x as infinity, and the final value will be 5 by 2. Okay, so important question to remember, and remember this concept as well. Root of x square is mod x, and mod x is x if x is greater than 0. Just wait. Okay, note this. नहीं आऊंगा अभी नीचे। Next question. Limit n tending to infinity, 1 plus 2 plus 3 and so on up to n by n square. This is similar to the first question.
So half.
Yeah, good. Correct. Half is the answer. This is also important for school exam point of view. So limit n tending to infinity, you write this sum. Okay. Sum of n terms of AP, it will be n plus 1 by 2. So this 2 will come with n square, right? This will be cancelled. 2 can be taken outside, though it is in denominator, but it is fine. We can say that half is multiplied. Okay. And then we divide numerator and denominator by n. So it will look something like this. 1 plus 1 by n by 1. Now you put n tending to infinity, so the value will be half, right? So I hope this type is clear to you, right? Solve this question. Limit n tending to infinity, n factorial upon n plus 1 factorial minus n factorial. What is the first thing that you should do in this question? Yes, anyone? You have studied PNC, so you should know how to simplify this. What I can write in place of n plus 1 factorial?
So n plus 1 into n factorial.
Yeah, n plus 1 into n factorial. What is the advantage of this? Advantage is n factorial will get cancelled. No? It is n factorial here. In the denominator, it is n factorial. So it is n plus 1 minus 1. Okay. N factorial gets cancelled. In the denominator, it is only n. Question is simple. It is 1 by n. 1 upon tending infinity, value will be 0. Okay, so you can see a variety of questions here. Just solve the questions from your textbook. Okay. Then finally we come to the last type of methods of evaluating the limit, but They are very important. Standard formula. Some standard formula. First, let me write all of these. Okay, then I will discuss. I will write all the formulae first, okay, and then we will discuss. If you want, you can note down these formulae. So as you can see on the screen, these 6 formulae, okay, these 6 formulae and the properties of limits. So based on these two, very good questions are there on limits, okay. First, let us understand these formulae. First one, do not simply learn the formula, try to understand and what is the generalized result of this these formulae. I'm telling you the first one. How to remember the formula first, okay. First thing, sine of the angle, it is sine theta. I will read it as some angle, sine of the angle divided by angle. You will not always find theta, it can be anything. It can be x, then in denominator it should be x. In numerator it can be sine of 2x, so in denominator it should be 2x. Sine of angle, same thing present in the denominator. Angle should be in radians, okay, it is clearly mentioned. And the last thing, both of them should be tending to 0. This is what limit is saying, limit theta tends to 0. Okay, if all these conditions are satisfied, then the answer of such kind of question will be 1. These are formulae, their proofs will be discussed in class 12 because there is this whole chapter, a very big chapter, okay, not just 2 or 3 classes, it will take so much time. Other techniques are also there, level will also increase, but for now we have to complete only this. So 3 things to be remembered, sine of the angle divided by same angle. This angle should be in radians and should be tending towards 0. That is obvious from the limit. In such a situation, the answer of this particular appearance or the formula will be 1. This you have to understand. So for example, if I take this question, limit x tends to 1. Suppose the question is limit x tends to 1 and we have sine of x minus 1 upon x minus 1. Its answer is going to be 1. You know why? Try to understand. Sine of the angle is x minus 1, same is present in the denominator. Now both of them are tending to 0. Why? Because x is tending to 1. If x will tend to 1, if x is tending to 1, you put 1 tending to 1 here. What will happen to this whole value in the bracket? It will tend to 0. Okay, and I have not used the symbol of degree, so it is in radians. Okay, see, when I write sine 2, if I am writing sine 2, this we have discussed when we were studying trigonometry, then I will count it in radians. If I write sine 2 degree, I will have to make this symbol. But as I can see in the question, there is no symbol of degree, right? So that means the angle is in radians. So what will be the answer of this part? Answer of this part will be once again 1. This will be 1. Now similarly, if I take sine, limit x tends to 0, sine 2x upon 2x. Okay. Now what is happening? Sine of the angle and the denominator both are same. Both are tending to 0 because x is tending to 0. That is why 2 into 0 will be 0 only. And they are in radians, so its answer will be 1. Now suppose I take this limit x tends to say 2, or let me take some other value, not 2, some other value. Suppose it is sine x tends to 0, it is sine x square. Now this value will be 1. Why? Sine of the angle and the denominator are same. Both are tending to 0 because since x is tending to 0, so its square will obviously go towards 0. And they are in radian, no symbol of degree, so answer will be 1. I hope you are understanding how to generalize this first formula, that is sine theta by theta is 1 when theta tends to 0. Now suppose if the question is limit x tends to 0, sine 5x upon x. Suppose this is the question. Okay. Answer is not going to be 1 now. Answer is not going to be 1. The simple reason is the sine of the angle and the denominator are not same. So what we are supposed to do? We will multiply. We can do this. We can simplify this. We can manipulate this. No? How? We will multiply the whole question by 5 and we will divide it by 5 as well. After doing it, we will use that property k into fx, and I will take k in from the numerator outside this symbol. Okay. So multiplying and dividing by 5, after that using that property that limit of kfx is k times limit fx. And now what about this part? This part is 1. Why? Because sine of the angle and denominator are same. Both are tending to 0. They are in radians. So after taking these 4-5 questions, I hope this is clear to you what is the concept of what is the generalization that I'm talking about. Because see, the same concept is to be used in all the other results. If I discuss this second point, no, second one, here also same thing, tan of the angle and the denominator should be same. Second one, tan of the angle and the denominator should be same. Both should be in radians, should be tending to 0. Its answer is also 1. So just like we have discussed sine theta by theta, similarly the result is tan theta by theta. This is also 1. Try to understand the concept. Okay. Third one as well. Third one, what you have to remember? The power of a. A is positive, not equal to 1. This is with respect to logarithm. In the third formula, a to the power x minus 1 upon x. The power of a, which is x, and the denominator should be same. We are going to solve a lot of questions on this concept. Today you understand the formula. Okay. Next class we will solve so many questions. So the power of x, power of a, which is x, and the denominator should be same, and they should be tending towards 0. And if this is the appearance of the question, answer will be log a base e. For example, let me take an example here. Suppose the question is limit x tends to 0. It is 2 to the power x minus 1 upon x. Suppose it is straightforward question. Okay. You compare this with the formula. So it is like value putting kind of question. Okay. What will be the answer? Answer will be log 2 base e. because in place of a you have to substitute 2. Okay, so direct question. Similarly, fourth question. Fourth question in place of fourth question can be derived from third one only. Fourth can be derived from third. How? In place of a you substitute e. So if in place of a, yeah, actually I have written it wrong also. It is not x, it is 1. Please correct it. Fourth question. Fourth result. It is not x, it is 1. Wait a minute. Yeah, fourth one. Okay. This is not x. My mistake. This is 1. How you can get the fourth result from the third one? In place of a, you put e. So if you put e here, it will be log e base e. Remember logarithm. Log e base e. In fact, log n base n used to be 1. So if you are putting e in place of a, the answer will come out to be 1. So fourth one can be remembered with the help of third only. Just replace a by e. This is the fourth result. Same is true for fifth one. Same is true for fifth one. How you will remember? See, this x and this should be same. Appearance of the question should be as it is, log of 1 plus x upon x. So these two terms should be same. Both of them should be tending to 0. Answer will be 1. Fifth one. Okay. Today you learned these results. Okay. Next, that is tomorrow we are going to solve questions on this. And sixth is here x is not tending to 0. Pay attention, x is tending to a. And if the question is of this appearance, answer is n into a to the power n minus 1. For example, let me take a question here only. Suppose it is limit x tends to 2. Suppose it is limit x tends to 2. And the question is this. Okay. So as we can see, the question is of this appearance only. So the one thing that I need to do here is write 1024 in exponential form. And 1024 is actually 2 to the power 10. You can do this later on. Okay. Now you will see that the question is exactly of same appearance. In place of a we have 2, in place of n we have 10, and it is exactly same, it is exactly comparable. So you write this answer and it is going to be 5120. Okay, so these 6 standard formulae, okay, you learn them. Okay, and by the help of this example and the concept that we have discussed, okay, they should be same, tending towards 0, should be in radian, and then in the remaining 4 formula as well, whatever you have to remember to generalize the result. Okay, just go through this last part of the class once again before you come for the class tomorrow. Okay, and then tomorrow we are going to solve a lot of questions on this topic. That will end the first half of the chapter, that is limits. Okay, so we'll continue in tomorrow's class now. That's it for today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bye everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.